This episode has been brought to you by Manscaped. The new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Go to manscaped.com, use the code GOLTS20 for 20% off plus free shipping today. This week on the Heart of the Gulch YouTube show, we sit down with musician/songwriter Dallas Alexander. In today's Walk the Line episode, Dallas performs Heartbreak Saloon off his latest album, Can't Blame My Bloodline. Let's check out the episode. We are in the Heart of the Gulch. I'm your host, Tony Mendoza, and today, I got another fellow Canadian. We just had someone that was a Canadian just in the show just earlier today, but I'm super excited for my friend, Dallas Alexander in the building. What's going on?
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
You can tell the inflection changes real quick, huh? What's going on, man?
Just hanging out. Sounds like you got Canadians all over Nashville right now.
Dude, let's talk about it a little bit. So CRS is currently going on right now. And you said you had a secret meeting to go to with all the Canadians out here?
Yeah, it's our plan to take over Nashville is what it's about.
I mean, you guys are, I think at this point, Heart of the Gulch has had maybe four Canadians, which is showing that Nashville's really growing into it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Actually, in the country music scene, I've met more Canadian country artists down here than I have in Canada.
We're going to start off right off the jump, man. So why did the Canadian hockey team fight so hard with USA?
Oh, that game. So I'm going to watch the next game after this today. I think both teams were trying to send some kind of a message. Mm-hmm. One thing I didn't like is that there was the booing during the anthem.
That was crazy.
That drove me crazy. Mm-hmm. I was very disappointed in any person that was in that arena and booed, while someone's putting their heart out there and singing a national anthem. I'm all for booing when the player you don't like touches the puck. The other team scores, ref makes a bad call, but you don't boo the anthem. And I was happy that the U.S. won that game because of how it started with that.
Well, that's so me being from San Antonio, Texas, military USA for America here. Man, when I think about going to any games, any sporting events, anything, and this is something I've noticed here in Nashville, people stop. Didn't matter where they are. You could be in the restroom, you could be walking to the your seat. People stop when the anthem comes on, takes their hat off, put it on their heart. In Nashville, because it's not as military as San Antonio, I notice people still walk, and it just throws me off.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but
well, I mean, it's a respect thing, which is why I think that I didn't like how that game started, but I was glad that the U.S. won, even though I'm from Canada.
Well, speaking of that, so where exactly in Canada? I'm not going to butcher the name.
So I grew up in Alberta, Fishing Lake Métis settlement, a little indigenous community. And for the last, probably 16 or 17 years now, I've lived just outside of Ottawa, which is our capital out in the east in Ontario. Yeah.
So talk to me about a little bit of the city. What's it like?
It's kind of, in a weird way, a little bit like Nashville in that a lot of people are always coming and going, moving there for work. It's kind of the hub of where all the politics happen, which is not my favorite thing. But so we have a lot of government people coming in and out and stuff like that. So it's sort of like that here. I'm sure you've realized with music and all these creative people coming in and out. I like the creative people more than the politicians, but the city is a beautiful city. It's like it kind of separates Quebec, another province, from Ontario, the Parliament, the downtown, everything. It's very beautiful to go and visit, but I prefer it here.
We were talking before we got on screen here that when you were going through, I'll let you get a drink of that. When we're talking about how musicians here in Nashville just cannot seem to get the timing down right. So many musicians will show up to the show 15 minutes late, 20 minutes late. I'm kind of used to it. It gives me that buffer. Yeah. And I was like, man, from your background, being in the military, I know for damn sure that you were going to show up 15 minutes early. And thank you for not knocking on the door the moment you came. Yeah. Because I was still moving around, getting things ready for you. But yeah, man, talk to me about the differences between having that military background versus that creative background that you're noticing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps. I prefer to be early, but I've noticed, yeah, there's an artist timing, and there's an everyone else timing. But thankfully, yeah, the military stuff keeps me on time. Normally early, sometimes like too early.
Well, and also one thing that I've learned growing up with my parents they weren't in the military, but my mom was a civilian, and but man, what they didn't instilled with me was being present, working as a team, and putting together that SOPs, right?
Yeah.
Getting those things put together. These are all qualities that creatives struggle with the most.
Yeah, it's true.
Details, SOPs, my goodness, you tell them they have great goals.
Yeah.
But they have no idea the strategy on how to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed that there's obviously, this is the town with the most talented, skillful music individuals from the entire country, which is really cool and inspiring. But yeah, a lot of what I do every day is on the business side of my music business. Mm-hmm. You know, I try to still focus on guitar playing and singing and songwriting, but I do focus a lot on the business side of it and touring and booking stuff. And it's all independent and just building a team around what we're doing. And I get so many questions about that here in town, because artists are like, well, how do you do it? How do you go on tour? How do you have a marketing plan and all these different things, which I'm super happy to share, because I find it interesting and it's like exciting to me to learn that side of the business as well. But I think a lot of that comes from the other stuff, the military, the organization, the timings, the SOPs, like you're talking about. And yeah, it's not ever really trained, I don't think, to creatives, that grew up singing and playing guitar and songwriting and stuff.
Speaking of that, so, going back a little bit, right, to your creative side, because I believe that I think we both have that structured element, that discipline element, but then we also have this creative side, these juices that are just flowing.
Yeah.
So, which one came first for you?
Good question. I would say probably the structure. I remember being young and I don't think it was even necessarily I don't know how it came about, but I would just like spend a day organizing rooms in our house or something. My parents were like, oh, wow, that's great. We left and we came back and everything's organized. And I remember having my room in like a very meticulous, organized way, even if the house was messy. Like there's just weird times that I remember spending a lot of time meticulously cleaning or organizing things in my environment. And I don't really remember doing too much creative, imaginative play, I guess, like outside. I was always outdoors. But other than that, like I didn't really play music when I was young. I didn't paint or anything. I feel like the creative side definitely came later. So
that kind of leads into that storytelling that we're talking about, right? So what kind of snapped it? What changed that? Because obviously you went to the military, and what was it? The farthest kill, the sniping, and which, first of all, it's an amazing skill to have. I mean, I'm afraid to even touch a gun, let alone, shoot one. But, and don't tell anyone, y'all folks from Texas are probably killing me for that, so I'm sorry. But with that being said, though, when do you think it snapped? When did you go into your bloodline and you found that creative juice?
Yeah, it was kind of it slowly came. I've always loved music, so I was always singing along to, songs in the car. Played in a high school band for a little bit, for a couple years. I didn't really play anything. I would take turns singing with a buddy of mine.
So was it choir?
No, like a high school like rock band.
Oh, okay,
like it was like
tight.
alternative rock stuff. But after we did that for a couple years, and I was always focused on playing hockey. I never really thought that music would be something I would do. And it was actually in 2019, in the summer of 2019. My older brother, who was a few years older than me, he passed away. Mm-hmm. And he was a musician, and he had a studio in his basement. He would like record local artists and stuff, and he was always playing in a band. And I always thought it was really cool, but I just never thought it would ever be something I would do. And I remember talking to him sometimes, like, you should get into music and all this stuff. And I was very busy with my military career at the time. And I was like, I have a guitar, but I never play it. I don't really know how to do any of this stuff. And I started seeing more out in the world, like people playing music, live music at a restaurant or a concert. And I'm just like, wow, the people are doing this for a job. Like, that's pretty cool. And I've always loved music. And then when he passed away and it was recognizing live music everywhere, there's all this stuff that was just like, it kind of made my new focus, like I shifted it completely from the military to that. It was almost like a what was I waiting for kind of moment. And I found that writing songs it really helped me through when he passed away. Like it was like a therapeutic thing for me to write music and write songs. And it was crazy that the focus immediately changed, where I was like, I was all in the military stuff. And then I was like, nope, not for me anymore. I'm going to be a songwriter.
And, you know, speaking of that, do you feel like now that you're working on music and that music spoke to you, do you think in a way, was that your brother speaking to you?
Oh, I feel it all the time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And how's that feel, man? It's just like and first of all, I'm sorry for the loss, because, you know, that's as we get older and as you guys get older, everyone around us gets older.
Totally.
And it's scary because, you know, me being in my 33 years old, man, you don't want to get that call in the middle of the night.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? So I understand your point of view of that it's keeping you connected, but, you know, what are some moments that you've had recently where you really felt like he was speaking through you?
I gotta be honest, it's almost every show that we play. Like we just did a run of shows up north, Alberta, Canada, and Montana and Wyoming. And I just remember specifically, like, all the shows, I just feel it having us connected. And like I have a tattoo on my hand, which is a jaybird that an artist turned into a piece of art for me. And that's for my brother Jay that passed away. And so it's like, I always see it on my strumming hand. It's a constant reminder. And yeah, I feel it all the time.
Well, I love that, man. And then, you know, kind of lining up the mood a little bit, you know, talking about Canada and Canadian radio. I don't know what it is about that side of the world, but man, they really love putting you guys out on radio there.
Yeah.
And it's different from Nashville, because even Nashville, you have to go up all these ranks to be even in the Sirius XM highway. Over there, it seems like Canadian radio just plays all the up and coming acts. Is that true?
It's sort of true. There's still some weird hurdles, I guess, sometimes, but there's definitely there's a portion of the radio time that is reserved for Canadian artists. So you have, you know, I mean, from a business side in a radio station, you have almost quotas to meet for Canadians. So you gotta either play, because the scene is not that big. I was just talking about this last night with a bunch of people. It's like, I find that even the American Nashville country music scene is not that big, and Canada is tiny. Like last night, like every country artist I knew in Canada almost was here. So it's kind of, there's not a ton of people to kind of choose from. So you have a better chance of getting your songs, you know, on the radio or whatever. But yeah, there's still the game to play, I guess.
Well, that's the music and that's the business side that we're talking about, right? I think it's all an equation. So in a way, when I was growing up, I loved algebra. I love figuring out a problem. And when I think about even this show and creating something, I'm always just trying to strategize on how to get my music out or my videos out there.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that kind of what drives your music. Like, your music is a tool to get you know, obviously to make money and everything. But I think you really enjoy finding what works from the strategy side. Is that
totally,
true?
100%. Yeah. I do a lot of, you know, research and just looking at the business, trying to step away from being, you know, immersed in the business and think about outside of the box, you know, marketing ideas, what's working for other people, what isn't, what do labels do versus independent artists, and just trying to problem solve my own way through it and get advice from as many people as I can and take what I think fits for me and what doesn't. But yeah, I do look at it as a problem solving thing. Like when we have a show in a town we've never been to, how are you going to get people to come out to it? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you market to a city you've never been to? So I find it all very interesting.
You know, I kind of get the vibe that you like to be in front of the scene, but I think you really are kind of like me, where you really enjoy being behind the scenes.
Yeah, like I love playing live. I mean, I like it more than going to the studio. I like it more than putting out music. I love playing live shows and really connecting with people through music, because that's what I think is the most beautiful thing about music. But you're totally right. The behind the scenes stuff, like, tour managing and where we're going and how we're getting there and all the shows. Like I do a ton of that myself, and it's almost second nature, some of it through the military stuff. Yep. But it really is like, that will be the last piece I'll let go of, and hand everything over to, let's say, a tour manager and an agent to just talk about it.
You feel like you could do that?
I don't know. I was thinking about it on this last run, and I just can't even imagine someone being like, be on the bus at 9:00 tomorrow, and me not knowing prior to them telling me that what the plan is. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it is my own business. It's like all the details of it, where we're getting our merchandise, how it's created and designed, and what it is, and how much it sells for, and what the margins are, and how the band is getting to the next gig, and where we're staying. Like, this is all just stuff that it's details.
Most people don't want to deal with.
It's details of my business that I feel like I almost have to know. I don't even know how I would feel if someone's just like, here's the schedule, like, and they made it. I would be like, wow.
You almost feel retired in a way.
Yeah, that would be weird. I mean, if I just had more time to play guitar and write songs, it'd be great. But that will be the last piece of the business I think I really hand over.
Well, actually, this is a great time to take a break real quick, because we got to thank the sponsors of this business real quick, and we'll be right back with Dallas right after this. This episode has been brought to you by Manscaped. The new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Go to manscaped.com, use the code GOLDS20 for 20% off plus free shipping today. Dallas, I want to ask you some questions on your touring schedule, because I think it's very interesting that you touring all across the United States, but where are some of your favorite places to play in Canada?
Oh, I always love going back to Alberta, where I grew up. It's very much like the Texas of Canada.
Okay.
So it's like the Texas of Canada, but with the most gorgeous Rocky Mountains. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. So I always love going back there. If we're playing a show anywhere near the Rockies, it'll be like that show. I always try and book a day off so I can just spend time in the mountains. But yeah, out in Alberta it's always my favorite place to go back to in Canada.
Your music, when I was listening to it, I've been listening to your music this week, and man, it gives me the vibes of Western 100%. With the song that I was listening to, What a Way to Go. My gosh, dude, I could hear that in Yellowstone. I mean, it's very Western, but also like the storytelling behind it, it's amazing.
Thank you.
And it's interesting because I have a feeling that this background of loving the outdoors really shine in your music. It's really apparent, in my opinion.
That's cool. I like hearing that, because I write songs and they become very visual for me. So when we're playing, I see all the places and things that I wrote about every time we play these songs that I've written. And a lot of my life, like I said, was spent outdoors growing up. So it's cool that comes through to someone else listening to it.
Well, okay. So then give me your visualization for What a Way to Go. What were you visualizing once you finished the project?
Well, yeah. So that song is a very dark country song. It's like, I don't know, I'd say a murder ballad on steroids. That is
Red Dead Redemption kind of game.
Yeah, it's very dark. But it's from the time I've spent overseas on operations in the military, and seeing what I've seen, and seeing just really terrible people take advantage of innocent people. And so it came from that perspective. So a lot of the things I visualize when I'm playing that song, or what I feel, is time spent in Afghanistan or Iraq, and witnessing stuff that is really crazy. So that song specifically, that's like the visuals that come with it for me.
Do you like to tap into that space?
Yeah, totally. I think I appreciate all different parts of my life so far, from my childhood and the good things and the bad things, to my, my teenage years and learning how to be an adult, or attempting to, and then the military time. I appreciate all of it. I'm glad that I got to see what I've seen. I'm glad that I get to see kind of like the spectrum of human emotion and behavior, and what it is. If I just always stayed in small town Alberta, Canada, I wouldn't appreciate nearly as much the human experience, I think.
100%. And then, speaking of experiences, this tour that you're going to be going on late March, you're going kind of more west, and then you're going to Texas.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, first of all, I'm always going to ask this. You guys know this. Texas. Where in Texas are you going to play?
So right now we've got a show booked in Turkey, Texas. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Never been to
Really
Turkey.
cool. It's a tiny town, but it's a very music loving place. It's so cool. So many artists have gone through there that I admire. I really like the Texas country music scene. We got to play there last year at some point and open for someone, and they wanted to have us back to headline tonight. And so we're going to be back to Turkey, Texas. We're going to be down near New Braunfels, Texas.
Yeah, Green, I'm guessing.
No, not quite. I wish that's coming soon.
Okay, we're putting that out there in the world.
Yeah, I got to go to Green Hall the last time we were on tour in Texas because we had a show that got canceled, and I ended up getting to go there and see a bunch of artists that I like, and it was just really cool.
Live Oak, I'm guessing.
No, it's Redbird.
Redbird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we're gonna play there, and then Do-Si Do's in the Woodlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
Man, you're hitting up these. So, all right. So, to give you guys a background, these spots that he's talking about aren't necessarily dive bars, dive-y, but it's like they're the places that true Texas country people go play.
Yeah.
And it's not just the Green Halls, the Billy Bob's. This is like that dirty, that good stuff. That's the stuff we like.
I love it, man. Every time we get something confirmed in Texas, I feel blessed. It's really where I want to play there. We are actually almost going to move to Texas instead of Nashville. It's just the music, the hub of
the business,
the scene, the business
is here.
From a lot of artists I talked to, even from Texas, they said we just don't have that hub in one place. There's music everywhere. There's venues everywhere. There's a love for music, but there's no like hub like here.
That's the weird thing about Nashville, is that Nashville has all the people in place to get you all across the country.
Yeah.
But then when you go across the country, you realize real quickly that like, damn, this like New Mexico is one of those places where it's like you can go there, great music, but at the same time, it's not going to always have the business there. But, you know, keep on line the same track there. You know, what are some spots outside of Texas for this next run that you're going to do? Where's some places you're looking forward to?
We're going to start in Colorado. We're going to open for a Texas band, actually, named Shaker Hymns. Really cool music, so check them out. Then we go to New Mexico, actually. We're going to play in Santa Fe. And then we bounce down to Texas, and we're kind of... It's my fault being the tour manager, but as dates come in and I'm filling stuff in, we're zigzagging all over the place.
Oh, you're zigzagging? It ain't easy?
This is not an easy... No, we're putting on some miles in Texas. But it just worked out that way between what I had booked and other things that got confirmed where I'm like, okay, we can rip 6 or 7 hours down this way to play and come back up. So we got some driving to do, but that's okay.
What's your what's your method and your band's method? So when you guys are out in the road this year, you know, what are some places that you guys like to do that's outside of the venues you got to play?
What do you mean?
So, for example, like favorite gas station stops outside of Buc-ee's, or or like favorite, like, do you guys do hole in the wall food to eat? Well, like, what do you like?
So I love barbecue. I look everywhere is like, what's the top barbecue in this town on this highway between now and the next place? Always stop to suntan.
Really?
Oh my God. If there's 10 minutes, I'm like, just pull over, tarps off, and we're suntanning. Also love jumping into natural water. So if there's a river or a waterfall, I don't care if it's winter or summer, if there's water, we're jumping in. And then I've been a Love's gas station. They got the app. We save money every time you fuel up. So free plug for Love's. But I've heard of... I haven't even stopped at a Buc-ee's. The band was just talking about it last time, that it's this gigantic experience. So we might have to hit one or two on the way to Texas.
That's actually especially if you're going to be in the Woodlands, the Houston area. That's like, I think, the home of Buc-ee's.
Okay.
So there's a lot around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting that there's still folks out there, especially a touring musician that goes everywhere, that haven't been to a Buc-ee's experience. Yeah. It's not...
Hey, I'm getting excited. I'm hearing a lot about it.
It's a Disney World for gas stations. That's all it is. And it's all branded. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but...
It sounds great to me.
Okay, well, speaking of what sounds great, so talk to me about your latest album that just released. When was it? It was in December?
December, yeah.
Talk to me about it. Can't Blame My Bloodline.
Yeah, so it was kind of we were chatting about this earlier. It's new, but to me it feels like it's forever long when you... Like, you know, when you first start writing the songs and you're picking the songs, you go to the studio, then all the mixing, and then putting, one out at a time.
How long is that?
Oh God, it was like 2 years probably.
Yeah. So
and it was just the strategy I went with was I made the album, I made it available on vinyl and CD to sell at our live shows, to give something a little bit different for folks that are coming out to shows, music that's not out anywhere else. And then I released
That's a cool
it,
strategy, though.
Released it one song at a time to all the DSPs. So every 6 to 8 weeks, I'd have a new single drop on, let's say Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon and all these things. And individually had a marketing plan for each to try and get it on Sirius XM and radio and stuff. So it gave me a lot of material to spread out through the year. So it's a new album because December was the last song on the album that finally came out. But to us, it's like we've had it for a while. It's actually been available on vinyl at our shows. So it's an interesting conversation because, we put out Can't Blame My Bloodline, the song, to U.S. radio. So like the new single, and to me, it just seems like it's so old, but it got great. Like it got picked up on a ton of different stations. Actually, last time I was here before I went on tour, I was driving out to do a photo shoot in the countryside and listening to Sirius XM, and my song came on.
What's that like?
That was wild. That was wild to be. And in Canada, it's happened, but now I'm in Tennessee.
Totally different area.
Totally. It was like, wow. I had to pull over. It's like, this is really cool.
So that's it for you guys out there that are watching this that have never had that moment of euphoria of having so believe it or not, prior to me doing all this show, I was once upon a time an engineer, a long time ago in high school. And my radio station in San Antonio, Texas, 98.5 The Beat, had a some type of contest. So one of the people I was recording, who was a rapper, I just made sure he performed the song, and then we're gonna do everything we can street team wise to get the numbers up so we get performed.
Oh, cool.
So now it wasn't my voice that I heard on the radio, but the hard work that goes into it, to having the song that you made from your place or from your studio to who you worked with show up on the radio, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, it's euphoric, really. It
is crazy.
It's a top thing that I hope everyone gets to experience, but going through the time of creating this album, what were some hiccups along the way where it didn't go as smoothly as planned?
I would say in the song selection and recording, there were so many questions. I just didn't really. I was all going off no experience, just vibes. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So I'm like, here's a vibe that I want, and I was working with some people that are very talented and been doing music forever and had giant careers of their own, and they're guiding, and sometimes I'm just like, that's not the right vibe. And they're like, this is what you got to do if you want to do that. I'm like, no, I disagree. It's just like having to have, tough conversations, butt heads a little bit in the studio just to really get the feeling I wanted out of everything.
What was the feeling that you wanted?
Well, I wanted it to be a mix of what I love in music and the songs I want to pass on. So like, if you listen to the album, there's a lot of it that's very, kind of grittier, darker country music, and then there's some that are just feel good songs, and that's the playlist of my day every day. So I didn't want it to be one thing where if like you hear one song, you're like, okay, I know what this whole album's all about, because it's not. You'll go up and down and all around, and
like life. Yeah,
and one song gives you no indication of the album, but if you listen to all of them, it gives you a pretty good indication of who I am. So it was kind of just trying to figure out that and communicate in a new business with new language to people that have been doing it forever. And I'm just trying to be like, well, a little more like this and a little less of that. And that was a good learning experience for sure.
So I'm curious to know the strategy behind selling the completed album prior to releasing it, on streaming services. How did that, is that normal? I've never heard of anyone doing that.
Yeah, I don't think it's normal. I look at it as a mix of like old school music and marketing and release strategy mixed with trying to please the algorithmic gods.
Well, it's crazy because I've never heard of anyone rewarding fans for being there, and then later on, like, just think about the average fan today.
Yeah.
The average fan today is going to Spotify.
Yeah.
They're looking your name up. They're finding what is the highest viewed song, and that's how they judge you.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't see you guys there. Hey, if you're enjoying the content that we provide, please consider subscribing to our Heart of the Gulch YouTube show. Hit the subscribe button that's right in front of you, or hit the Heart of the Gulch logo over here in the corner. And of course, like magic, hit the recommended subscribe button that's over here in the banner. We would love to have you guys here at the Heart of the Gulch YouTube channel, and let's get you back onto that interview right now. You're over here going to these venues all across the United States, some of the smallest towns, and you say, hey, I know this is what's on Spotify, but check out this album. It hasn't been released yet. It sounds so cool.
I think I like you said, having almost a reward for people that are going to spend their money on a ticket or an evening and come watch us play. They can get music that isn't out anywhere. I think that's really cool, for one. For two, if you do the math on streaming numbers and selling a record or a t-shirt to a fan, and then not only that, making a personal connection with a person that will share your music and talk about you, it takes a lot of streams. If you're just doing numbers to numbers in a business, you sell a t-shirt, depending on what your margins are, you make $10 to $20. Do you know that takes thousands and thousands of streams on Spotify to get that same $10 or $20? So if you're traveling a lot, not only are you meeting new people and they're sharing your music and people are buying hats and t-shirts, that's a lot of horsepower to put into a DSP like Spotify or Apple to try and get the same return on investment, just like in the pure business number sense.
Oh, I love that. It's guerrilla marketing.
Yeah.
It's something that people lose track on, because a lot of times I find my enjoyment in music now, in country music in Nashville, by meeting you here. Isn't that weird? Like, if I were to look up, like, I've been sent all different types of artists to interview.
Yeah.
And obviously I select who I want to talk to. And I find my enjoyment to your music more after we have a conversation.
Totally. 100%. I agree with that completely. That's why I think, the live show I keep going back to is like connecting with people. Every show we play our songs and then we stay and meet any person that wants to stay. And sometimes it takes 5 hours until the bar is trying to kick everybody out, or the theater or the venue. But you just really get to connect with people. And we see so many people coming back to shows wearing t-shirts, singing our songs. And it's wild. And I love growing it in that way.
Yeah. Cause you can actually really, truly see it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's like our money in our bank. We have a number, we can see our number and the bank all the time, but you don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, that's
truly.
Right.
Because I remember I took out like $10,000 one time. And I was just like, I want to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
I saw what it looked like. And I'm like, whoa, like this is different.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that you're sitting with that money that whole time.
Yeah.
All right. Now, kind of going, circling back on this idea of, meeting the fans in your show. What does a Dallas show look like?
I hope it comes across in sort of painting a picture, and almost it's like the same vibe I talked about with this record, is like, even if we don't meet, even if we don't talk, I think coming to the show, you're going to get a good feeling for who I am as a songwriter, who my band is as individual, their own masters of their own art. I really think like that feeling is what we try to pass across. Now, it will be a party, and there will also be some sad songs. Like, I've had people dance and scream and cheer and drink and cry, and just like it's a bit of a roller coaster sometimes. But I think you'll get a good feeling for who we are, even if we don't get to chat or talk after. But that's what we try to pass across, and I think connecting with people in that way is the goal every time.
What's one of the nicest compliments anyone's ever given you?
Oh my God, there's been so many that just like, warm my heart or make me want to cry. Like my songs, I have some pretty heavy songs, and we have a big following with military and first responders and police and fire, and just hearing that my music has helped people. I've literally had people say your music kept me from committing suicide, which is like, holy I don't know if we can swear on here, but
it's all good.
Like, that's big. It's crazy. And it's cool. Obviously, like if it's making that kind of impact, it's more than just a song you'll put on when you're having a barbecue, if it's keeping someone from doing that. And then I've had people tell me and send videos and stuff of their kids. This is their favorite song. They run around the house singing Can't Blame My Bloodline or whatever. And I can't really pick one thing, but we get a lot of different amazing stories.
Does that stress you out though? So when someone comes up and says that, and says that this helped them grief or helped them, continue on, bro, does that kind of freak you out that you have this power within you? You're able to put out this music, but also now going forward when you're working on new music, which I'm sure you are,
Always.
that you have this power in your voice. Like, does that ever become a little scary that you gotta kind of watch what you're gonna do?
No, I think that everyone has that power in them, in their own realm of what they're doing, their own lane, whatever they're passionate about, whatever they're creating. I think everybody has that power. And I think that the responsibility of someone creating art of any kind is to do really as close to what truly is them, and what resonates with them. And then that's where you'll find the people that it's supposed to connect with. If that makes any sense.
100%.
I think when there's too much influence, like, even if I was just thinking of that, like, oh, wow, I really want to make this so that this, or I don't want to do this because that might happen, or I really want this to be a radio thing, or whatever it is, I think it muddies up the water a little bit. And the most beautiful thing is having each individual artist create what is 100% true to them. And then the variety of, let's say it's music that you have is a variety of different human beings' experiences that you can enjoy, instead of trying to all aim at one thing that makes like a sound converge onto something. So long answer to your question. No, I don't really get stressed out about it.
Well, that's good, because you're viewing it from not just an end goal thing. I think that's where a lot of musicians get it wrong, is if they go into music, and it may be you right now that's making music, if you're thinking about just trying to become famous, or you're thinking about trying to get streaming numbers, that's not the name of the game. We do this. I know you make music because one, you feel connected.
Yeah.
And then you also love to see people feel connected. I do this show because I want to feel connected to this town.
Yeah.
And I enjoy bringing you guys on. So we're doing it for a whole nother reason. So if you're doing it for numbers or recognition, it never works out that way,
Yeah, because I always ask, like, then what? Numbers are great for business metrics. They're great for measuring, what you should be doing, where you want to put your marketing dollars or whatever. But, if it's like the only end goal is to be famous, let's say, then you're like, well, then what? Let's say that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? What are you aiming at? Like, what's the purpose of it? If you're not doing it because, you love doing it, if there's a passion behind it, you're putting out something that is truly you, I just think it would end up being a very shallow existence.
So Dallas, I got a game. We just implemented it this season. Okay. It's kind of spin the wheel, and in the wheel, you're going to find a lot of random questions.
Okay.
But it's where the journey takes us.
All right.
All right. So you go ahead and give it a spin. You can hold it up and then spin it, or however you want to do it.
Give this.
And then just read it when you're done.
Weirdest thing you ever autographed? Oh, wow. Okay, so it's not necessarily the weirdest thing.
Here, you can put it down.
It's the weirdest thing that happened after. So I autographed some body parts in my day, and then it got posted on Instagram that someone got it tattooed.
No.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
I swear to God.
Man, talk about the power, man.
That's crazy. I'm like, what happens if tomorrow I say something you completely disagree with? Or I just like come out as like the worst person on the planet, and now you got my name, my autograph tattooed. And it's like, anyway, I appreciate it, but to me, I was like, wow.
What do you do in that situation? Because like, think about, well, okay, we don't got to go too deep about it, but I mean, just like, how do you say thank you to that?
I mean, I just shared the post and was like, that's wild. What else can you say?
That is. Now, all right, how many times have you seen these folks that have done that? How many times have you seen them back at your show at least?
I've seen the one dude that got it tattooed back at another show. It was in Alberta. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So at least he pops up every once in a while.
Still supporting. Yeah.
Hey, well, he has to.
Yeah, stuck now.
All right. Well, then wait. Before we go into another question here, have you ever had a fumble? Have you ever had something not go your way during a show?
Yeah, all the time.
How did you find how did you get your footing back?
I think a lot of that comes from playing sports, being in the military, just having to let go of that last shot or whatever it was, whatever the miss was. And that happens on stage. You know, there's times I forgot my own lyrics. There's times I miss a chord or something on the guitar. There's times I don't hit the right note and in my ear it just sounds horrendous. And, you know, it's like everyone now hates this show and people don't even notice. So it's just trying to keep that in mind and just making sure the show goes on without falling apart.
How competitive are you?
I think I'm a lot less competitive now than I was my entire life. So
what?
Yeah.
This is the time to be probably the most competitive.
I think I'm the most competitive with just myself. I'm not trying to compete with any other person in this town. I'm not trying to compete with people for spaces, places. I think there's plenty to go around. Everyone loves music. There's millions of music fans. There's thousands of venues. And there's billions of people on this planet to stream your shit. So yeah, that's fair. I think there's being competitive was a really big part of me growing up. I think it was super important. And now I'm just way less competitive. I want to compete with myself. I want to get better every day, but I don't measure it by, am I now better than that person over there?
What about, so take me back in the day though. You know, so young Dallas, what was I'm guessing it must have been hockey?
Yeah, it was hockey. And then in the military, maximum competitiveness. Like,
in what way?
I wanted to be the best hockey player on the team. I wanted to be the best hockey player in the league. I wanted to be the best hockey player in Canada. Like, that obviously never happened. I would have gone to the NHL, but that was my mindset all the time.
What does that take though, to be the best in hockey?
Oh my, yeah, if you know the formula, I mean, it's a lottery win, but there's a whole bunch of things. There's luck. There's an extreme amount of hard work. There's genetics. There's how wealthy your family is. There's all kinds of stuff. Like, to be able to be training at the highest level from the time you step on skates at 3 years old, you know, and never miss a beat, always playing in the best leagues and the most expensive training facilities and nutrition and all this stuff. Like, that takes a lot of money for one. Then there's just like the capacity, and whether it's passed on to you or not, to like be resilient enough to go through the constant competition, the constant being out of your comfort zone and being scared, quite frankly. Like, playing some of the leagues I played in, like, some big dudes,
dude, they're so
violent
physical.
And it's like physical, and you'll be intimidated, and you just have to work through that all the time. So yeah, it takes a lot, but I think being competitive, it's a double-edged sword, but in that environment, it's super valuable.
Well, there you go. Well, all right. Well, let's play that. Let's do two more of these, and then I'll leave you with my last two questions. Let's go.
Let's give her. Top 3 favorite non-country albums.
I like that one.
Okay. What do we got? I would say their Nirvana Unplugged album.
Ooh, okay.
The MTV Live recording Unplugged album. That was badass.
I like where you went there. Damn, you're dark, bro.
Yeah.
You're dark.
Yeah. I would say, like, from my high school days, 50 Cent's first album.
I love this. I love where you're going with this.
Pretty badass.
God, what was the song out of that one? Man, you got all those. You got Pimp.
You got In the Club, I think, was on there. Many Men.
Actually, you are actually putting together what's on my playlist for the gym right now. Let's see if you get them all. Right. Yeah, let's see if you get. Let's see if you get
3 for 3. I don't know about the next one.
Be true to yourself.
Yeah, I would think it would have to be something like AC/DC's Back in Black or something. Like, I mean, they're all very different. No, but it's that would be. Yeah, that's like the range of stuff I like.
Oh, bro, that's not that far off from anything. You know, it would have been far off if you said like Katy Perry.
Yeah.
but I mean, like, what, you have 50 Cent, which is going to be obviously a very heavy rap, which is fun, which is nostalgic for us.
Totally.
Nirvana, which is going to be that kind of that storytelling.
Yeah. Especially the acoustic versions of everything was just like, it took some of the edge off of, like, you know, when they had the really heavy screaming songs and just like broke it right down to a way I love. As well, it's one of the things I love about Nashville. It's like the right around acoustic broken down storytelling behind a song. which I think they did a great job of that album.
And then the last one you said Metallica.
No, AC/DC.
Or AC/DC,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And that was just, it was always around growing up. It was like just cool rock and roll shit. And I saw it on so many like military
100%.
videos and stuff when I was getting inspired to join the military. Everything was AC/DC. If you just put people shooting guns and AC/DC together, you're like, wow, I want to deploy.
Let's do one more, and then I'll leave you my last question, my last two questions.
All right.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Most embarrassing moment on stage. All right. We've been playing for forever. I've been coming to Nashville for a couple years writing songs, and I was super excited. We were finally playing like our first show here, and it was at the Basement.
Basement East.
And I was playing with the band, and I remember like I was down there, we were doing load in, and I was like, oh, it's so dry in here. And I was just like, I was trying to chug water and I was drinking. And, you know, friends come who haven't seen us play and industry people. And it's like, it was a good turnout. And I was playing with my friend, Ellis, who we've done a duet together. I've been on her podcast. And the one part of one of my songs is like the highest notes I need to hit. And they were just horrible. This is what I was talking about before. I'm just like, I could hear it in the monitor. I'm just like, oh my God. And then I still have another note to hit. I'm like, get it together. Total miss. And it like, I try not to dwell on stuff like that in shows too much, but I was not happy with the show just because of that one little thing. And to me, it was the most like embarrassing thing. And like, people are like, oh, I didn't notice that. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it was such a, I don't know. It was a highlight,
low light,
a low light. We'll call
highlight,
it. We'll call it a low light. So that was it. Everything else I can kind of shake off pretty good. Like we got pranked on the road one time, and it was just, we were on tour with this band and this artist named Gord Bamford in Canada. We were opening all these shows. It was the last show of the tour. Thousands of people. And I go on stage and I like go to grab my guitar to plug it in, and they like taped it to my mic stand. And I'm like, oh, and we have an intro, so I got to get my stuff going. So I take out my pocket knife, cut it off, put it in my guitar. I go to the microphone to sing, and I'm like, what the hell? And they put like Oragel or some numbing thing on my microphone. So now I'm like trying to drink this beer on stage and get rid of like these numb lips that I have to play. I can see the guys at the soundboard laughing, but those are fun. I mean, they could kind of be embarrassing, but that stuff I can.
I love that, man. That's funny. I like that. I mean, that pranks is a common thing on the road.
Yeah,
it's so common. It's crazy. But you're absolutely right. It's about how you come back. But you know, going a little deeper here. This is the last the question that these guys know I ask all the time, and it has to do with that resiliency. Has to do with that mindset. You know, where you have that imposter syndrome, right? We all have it.
Totally.
And how do you not let that imposter syndrome come up to you? How do you not let those bad negative vibes affect you? And what advice could you give the person watching this that may be going through that right now?
All right. So yeah, I feel that stuff, of course, being in Nashville. I think if you are playing country music and you don't have a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes, unless you're Chris Stapleton, he's the only one. Everyone else should feel some imposter syndrome
100%.
When there's people like Chris Stapleton out there. I think it's just very normal. And for me, I don't dwell on it. I don't let it overtake my day and put me into some dark place. And I think, honestly, a lot of that comes from, I have a meditation practice that really helps me like stay present. And I think worry, anxiety, all the, you know, am I good enough for the future? Was I good enough in the past? Is impossible if you're in the present moment. So practices is just come back to the present moment, make that stuff disappear. And sometimes it comes back and you got to do it again. You got to do it again, but it keeps it from kind of getting a grip on you, I think.
Dude, that's actually probably that's a really good answer to that. That's the first time I've ever gone meditation behind that.
Cool.
So that was really cool. And I ask it to everyone. A lot of people say, just don't listen to them.
Yeah.
But I like that approach because I think meditation, stress is what you just basically named. It kills people, bro.
Yeah.
It kills people like eating bad food.
Yeah.
And if the best thing you can do is to realize that there's a bigger picture. You can control what you can control right now.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like it that way. People really let it consume them.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, you know, train hard, for what you're getting into. So, and in music, you know, let's try and get as good as you can at guitar, and singing if you're a singer, and songwriting if you're a songwriter. And then that's about all you can do. You know what I mean? And then just, you're not going to be Chris Stapleton. So
Hey, that's a fact. There's only one. All right. So my last question on the show: can the people expect from your music or shows that you're going to be doing? This is your time to plug it in 2025.
Yeah, I think you can expect a high energy mostly, but just a really good time experience. And I'm going to consistently try to get better at songwriting and performing. And I'm noticing it with myself and with my band. The more we tour, the more we play, the show just gets better and tighter and bigger. And so I think that if you've seen us play and you see us play again, it's just going to be leveled up. If you haven't seen us play, come check it out, because it's always a good time. 2025 into 2026 is going to be us working our asses off to get better, to bring a better performance to people every time.
I love it. Okay, so the way we tee off the Day in the Life, aka our Walk the Line segment, which I'm excited for what that's going to be. I think we know what it's going to be, but we can't let you know until you see it after this. But the way we tee it off is you look straight into that camera right there. You say your name and you say, "This is how I walk the line," like the Johnny Cash song. And we will transition it from there. You ready to rock?
Yes, sir.
All right. After the applause.
I'm Dallas Alexander, and this is how I walk the line. I wish there was some place that I can go, where I got the promise to never be alone. These bars all have last call, and my friends, they ain't home. I wish there was some place that I could go, 'cause with a heartache this big and a bottle this small, I don't think I'm ready to deal with it all. I need a 24-hour Heartbreak Saloon, where they never have last call and play country tunes. When she walked out of my life, I nearly broke down, drowning my heartache in every bar in this town. And sooner or later, they all closed the doors, and I was left playing guitar at home on the floor. And with a heartache this big and a bottle this small, I don't think I'm ready to deal with it all. I need a 24-hour Heartbreak Saloon, where they never have last call and play country tunes. Yeah, they never have last call and play good old tunes.